Okay, are we ready to go? Check.
Good afternoon again, everybody. Welcome, Josh Clark of Checkmarks, and he's going to speak about Game of Hacks. That's his title.
Thank you for the introduction. Yes, hello everybody. My name is Joshua Clark. I work with Checkmarks. We are, how many folks have heard of Checkmarks? Okay, maybe a third of the room. Okay, so what Checkmarks is, just a quick and short on Checkmarks. We basically we build products for static application security analysis. So what we do is we basically do code analysis, static code analysis, and we have basically an engine that scans numerous programming languages. We support many different platforms, and we'll be talking about some of that today. But the purpose of my talk today is, I'm sure some of you guys are probably interested in the play on words here, because this is, how many are familiar with Game of Thrones? Hopefully everybody, right? So that's kind of the title that we used here to kind of get the interest, and hence the honeypot thing that we basically built to get people to come to our site and gather interest. So just a quick briefing on me and my background. I've spent, I like to go, I don't really have a title at Checkmarks. I kind of just make it up as I go, but I just came up with this one today: Jack of all hacks, master of none. Many people say Jack of all trades, master of none, but I do all kinds of hacking, both black hat. I've done black hat hacking, white hat hacking, gray hat, the whole gamut over my short career in the industry. I spent about 5 years building stuff, and the last 5.5, 6 years breaking stuff. So I got experience on both sides. In the last 5 years, I've worked for a bunch of big companies: HP, IBM. Now I'm working with Checkmarks. Worked with many of the different tools, both in the we'll call it the black box tools and white box tools, DAS, SAST, RASP, the whole gamut. And what I'm here to talk to you today about is Game of Hacks, the mother of all honeypots. And basically, what we're going to talk about today, I'll give you the quick agenda. Basically, how we're going to spend our time over the next 45 minutes. Typically, how I like to do talks: 5 minutes on a quick intro overview, spend about 20, 30 minutes of content, and 10 minutes for questions, because people always have questions at the end. And basically, this is the agenda. We're going to talk about what is Game of Hacks, what was the purpose of Game of Hacks, what was behind it, how we came up with this, and where we, how we came up with it. The third point here. Sorry, I'm just going to set a timer real quick. Okay.
And also, if you want to, you're facing, just go between where you're at right now and that way you can focus.
Okay. Alrighty. Thanks.
Unless you don't want to.
Now go ahead. I like seeing myself on camera.
No background music though. You're on your own.
I just like listening to myself talk. It just it puts me at ease. Okay. So back to the agenda here. The third part. We came up with a not so wet. Typically, we have in my venue we'll do a wet T-shirt contest, because I like those types of events. But anyways, we're gonna have a not so wet T-shirt contest for all of you folks in here. So we have a little contest, so you have to pay attention. You can't sleep. I don't want anybody. Make sure you do have your mobile phones and your laptops, because this is going to be an interactive session. It's not going to be a typical one where I just sit up here and lecture. You're actually going to be interacting and answering some questions. So pay attention. All the slides. Pay attention, because we're going to have a quiz throughout, and it'll be pretty fun. And then once we get through our little contest, I also have a giveaway. So I have a prize up here. Whoever has the highest score gets a prize. And then after we get through the contest, we're actually going to get into some more content with Node.js. So potential risks with the Node.js platform. How many of you know about Node.js? Okay, like 6 to 8 people raise their hands. Okay, well, a quarter of this talk is about Node.js. So if you don't know, I'm going to explain what Node.js is, kind of give you the what's what and the who's who about Node.js, so you can actually learn about it and understand its security implications and why you should care about the platform. And then finally, we'll just talk about some quick takeaways. We'll leave the rest for some Q&A. Okay? All right. So, interesting slide that we have here. If you take a quick look at it, this also is kind of interesting, because today is we're doing the we have the lobby and we have the vendors, the vendor space. I noticed some of the attendees come up and look at the board that we have set up there, and it's very similar to just a different code snippets, but it's different basically the same thing. Folks come up and they look at the code and they sit there and they ponder. And they go, what is that vulnerability, or what is that code? That's basically how this idea came about. A few of my colleagues attended a Black Hat, and they had walked up to a booth and they saw some code up on a board and sat there and pondering, what's wrong with this code, or what security implications are there in this code? How many of you guys have attended a Black Hat or DEF CON conference? Some? A couple? Okay. Well, that's kind of like the industry staple. If you're in security, like Black Hat's kind of like the de facto standard for security conferences. It's held in Las Vegas every year. I think it's coming up in next month. So if you're interested, try to go out there and check it out. But anyways, that's where this idea came from. Basically, and also if you ever see, a lot of times you go to these conferences, people wear shirts where they have like different types of, like, somebody will be wearing like binary, or somebody have some code on their shirt. We actually have some t-shirts that we give away if you attend the conference. Some of those t-shirts that have code, code elements that basically try to debug or try to figure out what the security vulnerability is in the source code. So that's basically how this came about. And so taking that idea, taking it a step forward, basically what we decided to do with this idea of grabbing source code was to, with that idea in mind, the other big concept here is, how many of you are familiar with OWASP? Okay, so many of you are familiar with OWASP. Okay, so if you're familiar with OWASP, as you know, there's typically surveys they've given out, and over the course of time, basically these surveys have told us a couple things. One of the most important things with respect to application security is that basically what it comes down to is security awareness for developers. So there was a survey that was sent out basically to CISOs across all different industries, and basically the net of it was that developers are just, they're not really security focused. They don't really have any security awareness. They don't typically get security training, and that's basically the whole kind of the major point here around this whole game of hacks illustration and demonstration is that developers, the primary use case, the primary thing that developers are most focusing on, and I can attest to this because I used to be a developer, was I was writing functional code. I just wanted to write some code, get it to work, push it, and ship it out. I wasn't really focused on. When I first started writing code, I didn't even really have a clue about, what's SQL injection, what's cross-site scripting, what's HTTP response splitting, what are these concepts? I have no clue. I just, I grabbed some code. Okay, I guess we got some background music for you. Anyways, long story short here, the whole net of this is that developers typically aren't trained on security concepts. Typically, they learn how to learn a programming language in the university. And you go to university, you learn how to do coding, you learn how to write some application code, pull some data from a web on the web page, and then put that into a database, and click a form button, write some JavaScript, and go on to the next piece of code. There's really no real talk about security, and it's more prevalent today because every day on the news there's a new hack that comes out. That's kind of why we're all here, to learn about security topics and whatnot. So. And to kind of finish up here with this point about game of hacks and the honeypot, this is another big piece of it, is that also with this concept that we come up with is that you can use it as an educational tool, right? So think about your own organization for a minute. You have your own organization. You guys all have domain-specific code, right? If you're working in healthcare, you have healthcare domain-specific code. You work in government, you might have domain-specific code. You could use a tool or the concepts that we have here with Game of Hacks and this honeypot to kind of train your own developers in the code that you have, in particular, maybe particular problems that you find, over and over in your code, and train your own team of developers on how to write better code. And so, right now, if you want, you can actually go out on your mobile device, on your laptop, if you want. You can go out and go to gameofhacks.com, and what you'll see is you actually go to our website. We own the domain, and we relaunched this in August of 2014. And since then, we had about, to this date, I just checked the stats yesterday, we got about 120,000 participants, people that have actually logged on, ran through it, and actually tried to, go through the question. Because basically what it does, I'll actually just show it for everybody, so if they don't have their machine up, I'll go ahead and just hit it here on the. So you should be able to see, well, I guess you can't see my screen, so we'll do I'll display here, mirror my display so you can see it. And so you should be able to see my screen here. So, Game of Hacks, see how good you are. You can go in there, you can play a single player, or you can challenge your friend. And basically what you're able to do here with Game of Hacks, click single player, you can pick your difficulty level. You can pick whether you think you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And then you can go out there and, for example, say I'm start playing, you can go out, it'll go out and start the game up, and it's going to ask you some code, ask you what are the security vulnerabilities in this code block, and you have to go out there and answer it. And that's essentially what our what our whole this whole talk is going to basically be about, is a demonstration of this. Okay? So let me go back here to the presentation here, just to kind of talk about, because we're going to go a little bit deeper other than just what the game covers. But the net of it is, not only do we get 120 participants, but in doing that, we also did something else. Can anybody else see what else we did with setting up a site like this and kind of doing something like this? Any other ideas that you could think of? It's in the title of the talk, or subtitle. Honeypot, right? It's getting people to come to the site and getting them to submit their information, basically collecting, trying to get people to come to our site and get information from them, get them to upload their information to our website. Some other statistics about our Game of Hacks website was, not only do we get over 120,000 users to our website, we also got over 500 code submissions, right, of different code fragments from different teams and different variations. Think about that. It's basically like free, now also if you think about our business, right, we're doing code analysis, right? We want to see different types of code. We just got 500 free different types of code snippets across multiple different languages, and which could or could not have security vulnerabilities in them. So kind of like free security testing just by setting up a honeypot, if you think about it. And then also total amount of games played is we had over 120,000 unique visitors and over 230,000 games played. So people have definitely been utilizing our site and kind of playing around with it. So pretty cool stuff there with Game of Hacks. And so again, just to kind of talk about those kind of key elements behind Game of Hacks and kind of what it was meant to do. There's the number one thing here with being that it was a honeypot was that we also went out there and Googled into some particular hacker forums. And just like with anything, if you know any of the different type of hacker forums that are out there, the folks that were playing the game were actually talking about it, right? So they were actually out there commenting about different types of vulnerabilities they were finding within the game. Now we knew about that, setting it up. We did that intentionally, right? So we knew people were going to try to hack. Just that's the whole the whole purpose of doing a honeypot is to kind of set people up that they're going to try to hack you, and then try to hack them or try to capture their information. And so as you can see here, some of the comments here from this gentleman, he basically put on here and said, hey, it tries to teach security, but it fails at security because it has, basically has a vulnerability in it. And ironically, the game is easy to hack. It's an easy game to hack about finding security bugs. And basically, like I said, we assumed the game would be hacked. We might as well learn from it, learn from what folks are going to do. And because we built this, the platform that we built it on was at the time when this came out, was a relatively new platform, which was Node.js, had a Mongo. I'll just show you the architecture here. And also the vulnerabilities that we found from the users that were basically hacking our honeypot. Basically, we used those to enhance our product, right? Because we have a code scanner product, and this is kind of one of the things that we did with it. If you look here, basically, it's a client-server architecture. You log in through a browser, mobile device. You hit the Node.js front end. Basically, it's a server sitting on a Heroku instance with a MongoDB database. And basically, people log in. You play as a single player, or you can share code, as it said in the beginning. And basically, that's kind of the architecture of what we set up for this Game of Hacks game. Basically, once you log in, as you say, I kind of showed you some of this already. But basically, it talks about gives you the score level, the type of question that you have, what are the answers, and then you get the code snippet, and then you can get to play it and kind of play against your friends. So typically, I don't know how many of you guys used to be developers or are developers? Okay, maybe a couple or used to be. Mostly developers are kind of like ego. I'm just saying, I know I kind of was when I was a developer. I always wanted to be, compete with other developers. So it's kind of, a lot of developers when they play this game, they want to compete against each other. So that's kind of why you make a game and then they compete and then, kind of the best guy wins. So, it's kind of fun. I mean, that's kind of the whole essence. I think that's why this had was so successful when we created it, because developers always want to, so every developer wants to be the best, developer within their team. So it's kind of interesting in that regard. So we're actually going to play another game that I haven't told you about yet. So I do want you guys to get out your devices, whatever you have, phone, get out your phone, your mobile device, or iPad, or whatever kind of device you have. I want you to go to this website here called www.kahoot.it. Okay. Now, once you go there, you're going to need to enter a code. Now, once this loads up here, go ahead and do player versus player. Let's see it start up here. So that's your game pin. So once you go ahead and punch that in, when you go to kahoot.it, punch in that pin code, and it's going to ask you to put in a username. Now, put in something relatively unique to yourself. It could be your nickname or whatever. But come up with something semi-interesting. Got 10 players, 12, 13, okay. Remember, there's a prize. If you do participate and you do happen to win, there's a prize. So, more the merrier here. We'll give it excuse me? I can't hear what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, go ahead and log in. We're going to honeypot you, steal your creds off your device. We'll give it another minute here, and then we'll go ahead and start the game. And you can just remember the pin. That's the pin to join. Okay. Yeah, this is a funny little video here in the back. This goat just keeps going around and kicking the other goats. It's pretty funny. All right, let's go ahead and just play this game here. So we'll start this guy up. So there's 10 questions. Okay. So basically, you got 10 seconds to answer. So go ahead and go off, and the answers will start popping over here as people go through. Okay. So we had. All right. So some people are comfortable. This is just a question just to see if you were comfortable in your seat. Okay. So we got what do we get here? We got 7. I'll try to make this a little bit smaller. Okay, can you guys still see? All right, great. So this is just a sample question, so hopefully if you pick yes, you got it right. All right. Let's go ahead to question number 2. This is just a test to make sure that you guys are all pretty smart here. All right. Great. Everybody got that right. So 2. Now I promise the other ones are going to be actually about security. That's just going to be math problems. I'm sure you wanted to come see. So we could also see who's in the. All right, so that's the picture, and then go here. Let's go here to the next question. All right, so who's in the lead here? Cool chainsaws. All right, we got Mac, AOD, hey. All right, so here we go. Now, which vulnerability is exposed in this code block? You guys probably can't see it. Well, I guess we can't blow it up anymore. But for those of you that can't see it on your phone, can't do much with the image there. Cool. So how many of you guys got it right? 4. All right. So yeah, basically the problem with this one, if we look at the code here, basically we have a response here that we pull in, or basically we pull in the request, and we use that to basically do a uncontrolled format string in this case. So again, we want to validate input in this case, but pretty straightforward here. All right, let's go to the next one. So hey, you're in the lead. All right, another code problem. Hopefully this image is bigger so you guys can see it. Or you should be able to see it on your phone if you're playing on your phone. All right, basically def read file, read a request in. You take that, then we have another method here called another object request. We grab the response, and then we say request.get, read that file, put that in a file, and then we open a file. We loop over it, we write some stuff out. What can we do here? Path traversal. So 6 of you guys got it right. All right. You guys are doing okay. I don't know. We'll see who's in the leader. Hey is still up there. So we'll find out who that is. Hopefully, if they end up winning. All right. Next one. Here's a chance for extra points for those folks that have not been getting the code ones right. It's pretty easy. Now this one, statistically, you got a 50-50 shot on this one. So hopefully somebody can get this right. There you go. Okay, so I guess some of you guys didn't watch Tom and Jerry when you guys were kids, but that's okay. The cat is Tom. Just so you know. Go ahead and watch some Looney Tunes on Saturday morning, or to revisit that one. Who's having fun? Anybody having fun yet? Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Great. Yay. All right. So hopefully it's more fun than some of the other sessions. All right. Next one here. Back to that. Oh, hey, you're still on top. You're only up in top by 40 points though. So Eltron. Yeah. Was it 40? Oh, okay. You're close. Yeah. All righty. Eltron. Let's see if you can do it. We got 4 more left here. What vulnerability is exposed in this code? We got a PHP block here. We start a session. We check to see if some values are set. Then we go file DB, new PDO, do a prepare statement. We insert it, basically do a prepare statement, insert into an object. Then we do some parameter binding. Ooh. Most of you guys thought that was SQL injection? No. There's binding that's being done, so it's not a problem with that. It's a problem with cross-site request forgery. How many of you guys know what cross-site request forgery is? Okay, I guess only 4 people do, based on the notes here. Or 4 people are just lucky. But anyways, basically what cross-site request forgery is, it's a little harder to determine, but basically there's an operation that's occurring, but it could be occurring on the behalf, you could get somebody else to execute that on your behalf. So say I'm logged in my session and I click on a link and I execute an activity. Somebody sends me a link and I execute an activity. They get me to do something on my behalf that I'm not supposed to do. So basically, getting me to do something when I'm logged in. In this case, that's what that was doing. It's basically making some kind of data operation on behalf of someone else. Okay. Eltron. Hey, you got kicked off the top. So Eltron is at the top, only by 3 points though. This is getting close. All right. Let's go next here. So question 7. So here's one question. Think about the game that we're playing right now, right? Client server. What limitation might we run into if the client randomizes the answer order? For example, these answer orders. What's a possible problem with this one? Somebody was asking about background music, and I think we got it with my game. So yes, this is, you guys, 7 of you guys got this right. That's good. Basically, in this one, the server won't know which one's the correct answer in that case. If the client does they end up randomizing the order of the answers. Okay. Eltron, you're still at the top. You got a pretty good lead.
Your mom's been telling
Oh, yeah. All right. So, in this case, who should be validating answer correctness? The client or the server? This should be, it's again, 50-50 shot on this one. Trying to give you guys, make it easy for you here. So again, in the concept of this game, right, this concept of this game we're playing here, right, so the unlucky person here that picked the client, no, it's not the client, it's the server. The server should always be validating which exam, the server knows which answer is correct, so it should know how to validate which answer is correct. Okay? Let's see if we can just bust it full. Yeah, that's better. All right, so Eltron's up there. Your mom is getting up there. It's getting close. All right, hey, you're back in. You're close. You got 2 more left. Now, what is the problem here with Node.js, this Node.js code? Now, only a couple of you know Node.js, so this one might be a little bit more difficult, but it's pretty simple code base here. It's just the APIs are, it's basically, this could be any language. It doesn't have to be Node.js. This could be Java, C#, Java, anything. Okay, so the problem here with that code block was that the client can answer the same question multiple times. Basically, let's see if we have that image here. Right, so user response, we save them. There's no way for it to know, in that case, which one is the right answer. Okay, so let's go back here. We got 1 more left. Let's see who's, so hey, you're still at the top. Eltron, you're close. Your mom, you're only about 100, less than 100 points off, so you do have a chance here for the last one. All right. Drum roll. All right, let's do it. So, last one here. Which item in the score calculation in the formula do you think, well, based on the hackers that were hacking our honeypot, which value here do you think they were able to hack the quickest? My guess is 60. All right. So, okay, 11 of you guys got it right. It's good. Yeah, basically in this one, yeah, the client can modify the time to answer. They can basically modify that value on the client end and change the value. They were able to basically specify a value. I'll show you this here in a minute. Let's see who our winner is. Hey you. Okay. So, who's hey? Oh, there you go. All right, so I got a prize for you. You ready for this awesome prize? Okay. You have just received a hub, a USB hub. Now, you can give him an applause here. So, any of you guys, all the losers in the room, if you guys want to stop by the booth after, you can come by and get a free USB drive for your participation in today's game. So, thank you very much for playing. That was somewhat fun. I enjoyed it. So, yeah, thank you for playing here. This was a fun little game. You can also use this for your own if you're interested. I find it to be pretty useful little game here when you're doing presentations. But anywho. The code that I provided earlier. The pin that I provided? So yeah, the code in Game of Hacks, we don't provide that. That's not provided, but the, what, you asking about a specific code block, or? Yeah, you can use that pin, but that's only going to let you ever play that game. So you can play the game a bunch of times if you want, but, Kahoot IT is, it's a little site that allows you to create your own games. But anyways, Game of Hacks, a lot of cool value here with this, but let's get back to the presentation here. See how we're doing on time. Okay, cool. We got about 20 minutes left to go through this. So let's take a look here at, just kind of go back to some of the elements of answered question. So initially the users initiated basically what this gentleman here, the guy that basically hacked our application with the answered question element, basically allowed them to submit the answer multiple times until they get, so if you had, they had a timer, basically what you could do is if you ran basically a script in your browser, app.send answers, you could send the answer multiple times to the server, and you could do it until you got it right. So you could just write a little quick loop and say submit all the answers until you get the right one in enough time. And you could do that in the JavaScript console window in the browser and get the answer back. Because we didn't have a flag on the server side to say, hey, this question's already been answered, right? Because you could keep submitting the answer until you got it right. And we didn't have a flag in the code to prevent that. So that's what the solution is to prevent that, right? To actually have a flag. That's just kind of more of a, not really a security, I mean, it's not really a security issue, it's more of a functional, if you're creating a game engine, you probably want to have a flag in there to say, hey, the question's already been answered, don't let them answer it again. So that's one piece. The other component here in Game of Hacks, these are also specific to our Game of Hacks that we created, was also the timer. So in the first version, we let the timer was handled by the client. So the client-side code that was executing was basically that answer plus the time spent to the server. So any hacker that had any worth his salt there could have actually went out and just changed the value to extend the time, right? So the time spent could have basically just changed that value to a big number, and then they could take as much time as they want to try to figure out the question. Right, and that's basically, you'll be able to do that by modifying the JavaScript on the client side. And then again, our friends on the hacker forums decided to, I think that's the thing about hackers. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I'm pretty sure you probably do. They like to kind of, blog and talk about what they do and show off and say, hey, look at what I've done. This is basically what I did, and this is how I did it. So here you go. Okay, so let's keep going here. So in the version 2 of Game of Hacks, time is now computed at the server level with a little bit of impact and latency, but not too much. That's basically what we did. We changed in the second version. We implemented a timer version in the Game of Hacks version 2. Okay, so what else? What else could be an issue with the timer? Any ideas? Well, this one is something that we, this is one that we found out through the hacker forums. Basically, if you're using an iPhone, if you play it on the iPhone, you can pause the timer by holding your finger on the iPhone screen. It's pretty interesting little hack. Now, we didn't even know that, but again, our friends here in the hacker community, they did, and they posted about it. So, some things that kind of pretty interesting things that you can come up with, in the wild as you kind of put these honeypots out in the wild and let people kind of go and play with them, and then they post a bunch of their their experience out on the web for everybody to see. So, any questions about Game of Hacks? Any general questions about what we've done there? I mean, I got a whole another 20 minutes here of some more technical info that I'm going to walk you through, but at the Game of Hacks level, if you get a chance, go out and play the game. You can also go out there when you can also submit your own code if you want. You can go out there and play against your friends. It's pretty cool game. It really tests your skill level. Like if you think you're, like I know application security. I'm a, expert. Go out there and try to play expert and go try some of the code. It's pretty interesting to see how you do, see how you fare. Okay. So with that, any questions about the Game of Hacks game? Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about. We're going to go into more Node.js. I want to get into kind of talk to you about what Node.js is, the platform. Talk about the database. Talk about all the implications with building platforms on Node.js, and that's basically how we built Game of Hacks. So that's kind of why they're correlated here. So Node.js is a architect. Basically, this is the architecture of Node.js. It's a single-threaded architecture, and so that basically one thread for every Node.js process. And basically, what you have here is you have an event queue with events. There's a constant loop here. It's a single-threaded loop that listens for these events, basically pop off, and they can do specific operations. It might be a file system, system I/O. You might need to talk to the database, write something to the database. You might need to do a network call. Any of those types of operations basically registers a callback, and then that callback goes to the queue, and then it gets triggered as it kind of goes in the loop here. Now, that's pretty technical overview of the framework here. But what I like to I like to use this example. I think it's a little more straightforward for folks that go to the fast food restaurants. Basically, think about a fast food restaurant. You got, say you go to McDonald's or my favorite Burger King. You go up to the register and you order some food. There's usually one guy there that takes your order. You can kind of think of that as a single thread. He processes your order, and the order goes off, and then you got the little event handlers, which are the workers. They kind of go off, make your burger, go off, get your fries, go off, get your drink. Boom, there's your return. That's essentially kind of how the architecture works with Node.js. Okay, so with that, there's some pros and cons with every architecture. There's a pro and con to that. Basically, with the architecture for Node.js, the positive side of using architecture like this is it's very good at doing I/O intensive for I/O intensive applications, database queries. Applications with high user throughput. So usually typically web apps, right? You need to process a lot of things relatively quickly. It's pretty good at doing that. And that's why a lot of companies have migrated their platforms to the Node.js architecture away from other types of architecture. MongoDB because there's conditional operators that will actually execute against the database. In this case, there's things that like $ greater than or $ less than. Those will actually execute inside that JSON object, right? When it gets parsed. And so you have to be careful here because if you run this, let's see here if I got my. Basically, if I get this to, say, greater than, this is greater than 1. Of course, my demo here isn't working right. But the long and short of this one is here. Let's see if I'll try to get one more shot, and then we'll call it. But basically what I was trying to illustrate is that you can execute those execute those conditional operators greater than or less than. If it evaluates to true, it will essentially give you you can basically bypass the let's see, greater than here. You can basically bypass the check. So greater than $, greater than. I don't have the value there, but anyways, point being, I have the script somewhere on my machine, but I can't find it right now. Basically, those operators, there's a couple operators. You can check the MongoDB documentation specifically for it, but basically what it's doing is it's those values, those operators will execute. And actually, if I use the regular expression one as another example of another operator that executes against a MongoDB backend. Okay, so basically here, this type of injection, a typical workaround would be to do a comparison against a potential candidate password. If you just did a lookup here, you can also there's also another type of vulnerability in Node.js. Not only the operator overloads basically that are happening in there, using those. Also, if you run a regular expression operator, which is very common, people do regular expressions all the time. If you use that to do a lookup, you could also overload the process and basically you get a regular expression denial of service, which is again basically what I have here. And so I will try this one and see if this works. let's see if this, go over here to my machine. I love working out these virtual machines. It's always so much fun because copy and pasting is always kind of I guess. So we'll go in here, we'll run this, and basically we weren't able to log in. It basically kind of blew up on us in this case. So yeah, not working there. But anyways, be aware if you're gonna work with the Node.js type of architecture. Remember your we'll go ahead and jump here to these to our takeaways here for this these types of vulnerabilities that I've been able to demonstrate here. So back to Game of Hacks, just to kind of take away here the gamification education piece. Again, when you're building one of the key things with Node.js or with the Game of Hacks was that knowledge is key to help deliver secure code. You can get folks of all ages to absorb and retain this information. Anytime that you have a chance to make learning more fun, specifically if you're going to be writing code, you can do that. It's a really cool kind of demonstration that you can use. I've seen, we've actually had some of our customers actually take this and kind of build this into their kind of like center of excellence. They took Game of Hacks and kind of custom tailored it for their security department so that they could use Game of Hacks to basically train their developers on how to not make the same types of coding mistakes and be more security aware, kind of to achieve some of those problems that the CISOs that were surveyed in the beginning had addressed. Okay, some key elements to think about when you're writing code, specifically for platforms like Node.js or any platform for that matter. Always make sure to validate your input. Make sure you validate the structure. Make sure you have a permitted set of characters that you allow. Another big thing that I've learned over my kind of career going through kind of AppSec is that each coding language has its pitfalls, right? Java, .NET, you got .NET, you got C# and VB. On Java, you got Java, you got C++. Every different coding language out there, there's several different coding languages. Each coding language could have its own variation of its own vulnerability type. Now, to take away from what we talked about and learned today, particularly with Node.js, we have a new platform that's out and is very popular. Things like SQL injection are still apparent, but now they're just specific to the Node.js platform, and that's why they're still problematic. It's just like basically what I say here under the Node.js architecture. We got a new platform, but the same rules apply with respect to security. Okay, and then some of the vulnerabilities that we addressed that I tried to demonstrate here in Node.js was obviously the denial of service worked pretty straightforward. I didn't get to show you the weak crypto demonstration because our rainbow table's down at the moment, but it actually is a pretty slick demo. And basically what it meant to do is that basically what we were able to do here with Node.js, since it's a single process, Node.js, the core architecture, uses Google's V8 engine inside the process, and inside that process it uses a cyto-random number generator. Okay, and the cyto-random, if you guys take a look at our little roll-up that we have outside, in that cyto-random number generator that Google V8 uses, it's basically, it uses math.random. Okay, math.random, it's not really it's known that particular random number generator has been known to be hacked. Hacked back in like 2009 by a security guy, actually hacked it a long time ago. Google knows about it. I don't want to go into too much in the details, but the problem is that's inside of the Node.js platform, so something to be aware about within each node process that math.random is being used. So don't use the default math.random cyto number random generator inside Node.js because you could have there's a vulnerability for weak crypto. You want to use it like an open source third-party known cyto random number generator. Okay, other vulnerability types that I couldn't show off, but JSON SQL injection, definitely vulnerability out there, and then also regular expression denialness and many more. And if I had more time, I would love to share those. If you're interested in kind of the Node security project, I point you to nodesecurity.io. It's kind of an open source project that's open for doing Node security. So if you're interested, you can contribute and join it. But with that, I think I got about 3 to 5 minutes left here. I'll leave the rest for a couple questions, kind of do some Q&A. You guys have any general questions about kind of what we covered today? No? Great. You guys have fun? All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for joining. And if you got any questions, stop down and see our booth.